Hey! Hi, how you doing? It's me, your boy. I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that. I did that again. Why did I do that? Oh, that's so cringe.
What is even happening?
I know. This happens often. So I'm joined by my good friend, fellow content creator, Game Revo. How are you doing, my lad?
Hello, it's as always, it's a pleasure.
Is it really though?
Well, that's the pleasantries that I'm just getting out of the way, so don't get too comfy with that.
Ah, I see how it is.
Yeah.
So how's the YouTube channel doing? You finally uploaded a new video!
There's a video that's being uploaded, therefore it's doing great! For now, I don't know how long that will last. But yeah.
What have you been up to, my guy?
So my university course has a lot of deadlines coming up and exams in a few weeks. So mainly that. It's fun times.
Is it really though?
Yeah.
So tell me, Revo, are you happy with where your channel is right now? Like when we first became friends, hey, let me finish.
Already with the existential questions, I uploaded one video this year.
How is that
video?
Existential? Oh,
I've uploaded one video, and you
The
start
year just started.
So
Where do you? The year just started. Relax. Don't get your panties in a twist. Dear God.
I was gonna say, at least, despite the fact that I only uploaded one video this year, I still managed to do that quicker than your top games of last year video.
Well done. Yes, rub the salt in the wound. I need it. It helps motivate me. What I'm trying to get at here is, since we became mates, since we became friends, and your channel, you've grown so much. You've made so many fantastic videos. Over the past couple of years, you've been growing your channel, developed your friendship with me, met Wizfish and Beer Grizzly and all these other mates of mine. Tell me, how do you feel how your channel has evolved and grown and changed, and you yourself as a content creator?
Oh, okay, so we're talking about a year ago, right? Has it been a year?
I'd say, throughout 2019. Now. Yeah, maybe 2018 as well. Maybe throw 2018 in there as well. 2019, 2018.
Sure, yeah. Big ask, big question. Where do I start with it? I guess, the best thing out of the last year has definitely been actually being able to discuss YouTube stuff, video stuff, and games in general with you guys. Because, you and Wizfish and all that. Because prior to that, I was putting stuff up online, which is fine, but you don't really have a good place to discuss it. To go, hey, what were you thinking on this video, and sort of touch base in it. And I feel like that had a huge play in how the kinds of videos that I've made and how I've made them has changed over time.
How so? How have they changed?
That being said, how they changed is a little unclear because I can't actually bring up my channel right now, and I'm trying to remember what I've uploaded in the last year. There's only 3 things, so I should be fine. Summer of last year was definitely the most sort of productive time for the channel, and that was when you did the whole push as well to get me over 1,000 subscribers, which, thank you, by the way.
Hell yeah, man.
That has... I think it was a few days ago I was sending you some of the data on new videos.
Oh yes, those sexy stats.
Yeah, sorry. It was like a wall of text. I apologize. I enjoy this stuff more than I have the right to. So, since then, I have gotten some more views on videos, but even more importantly, each video that I create gets, in a sense, a better chance, because more people see the title and the thumbnail, and they can decide if they want to watch it or not. And just getting more eyes on that, I mean, that's huge. That's made a huge difference to me. It feels like videos I release now have a significantly better chance of doing well than they did 2-3 years ago. So, thank you.
There we go. There it is. There we go.
For God's sake, you're just waiting for it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. It really is my pleasure. Like I've said, you, Wizfish, Beard Grizzly, all my friends, all my mates, you're some of the best content creators on the platform, and the fact that y'all don't have more views and subscribers than me, like, it's painful. It's bloody painful, because I suck ass, and you're all so creative, and you all put so much effort into your work, like, it puts me to shame.
That's enough dick stroking. Okay. I would like to imagine, right, as anyone would, that, I should get more views, I should get more subscribers, because, yeah, everyone wants that. And I feel like I could get that. The key now is just I need to upload more things, and finding the time to work on that is the issue now. I don't feel like, you know, the thing that's limiting me now is not some magical entity or force of getting seen. There are people now who are interested in seeing my stuff. It's just I can't put in as much time as I'd want sometimes to put that stuff out there, which is a huge thing. I mean, it's a much better circumstance to work with. Obviously, I'm not making things that get hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of views, but really, I'm just doing this because I want to. So it's not getting the number to be stupidly high is not the number one priority. It's just getting even a few people who are interested in it, which is actually, in ways, more difficult.
Oh, of course. But I'm curious, what kind of videos are you interested in making? Do you still have a deep passion for video games, or do you plan on expanding to other genres?
What did I say about the existential questions? I'm not... Okay. So most of the stuff I cover is video game stuff. And that is, at least for the foreseeable future, going to be the case. Just because... A, it's an area that I'm really interested in. B, it's people watch video game stuff on YouTube, of course. And C, it's an area that I know lots of things about. You know, I could try and wade my way into another field, but it would feel like starting from scratch again. If I really wanted to, I'd do that, but I'm actually quite happy where I am covering stuff with games.
So no plans to create deep, in-depth critiques on video games, maybe copy-paste from Wizfish a little bit, try to show him up on his own game?
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say about my videos?
Are you going to be interested in doing, like, traditional reviews or Let's Plays or anything like that, or are we going to stick to the analysis?
Okay, so the most important thing to realize about me and my videos is that I am really pretentious. I will admit it. What ends up happening is I create videos and I think, what do I call this? Because with the most recent one, which was it was about 28 minutes talking about playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and there was a bit of analysis, a bit of critique in there and all these things, but in a sort of more laid-back format. The question is that a critique? Well, there isn't so much analysing themes in it. Is it a review? No, it's not a buyer's guide at all. It doesn't serve that purpose. You know, what is it? So right now I'm getting by compromising by just sort of calling it what the thing is. So like, the last video was named after what was interesting about the game. And I haven't really put a label on it just because I don't really know.
So the idea for the video comes first, title comes after?
For the most part. Sometimes I will come up with the title, and the title is also the premise, in a sense. And I like the premise so much that I know that's what I'm going to do. And I make the video, and it has that title at the end, and it's, you know, that premise decides the entire thing on how it's created. Some of them, like the last video with Assassin's Creed, was one that I worked out as I was working on it. The premise came to appear just before I recorded it. I had my notes, but I hadn't worked out what connected it. So there's no specific approach that I take, because it kind of depends on the format of the video.
I know this may seem like a question coming out of left field, but it actually ties into all of this with your whole video making process. Tell me, where does your passion for video games come from? Why are you fascinated by video games so much?
See, these seem like such benign, simple questions, but for me, they're the really difficult ones. The ones I've been
It's why I'm asking them! It's why I'm asking them!
They're deceptively good questions. But to actually answer it, I think the fact that it's... Okay. So the first part of it is that, video games are media. And why is anyone interested in a piece of media? Generally, it's because elements of it have some sort of connection to you. Maybe you play, in this case, a certain game that makes you really enjoy or appreciate video games. And then it'll keep going from there. The second question is why video games in particular, and that is much more difficult. I mean, the easiest thing to do is go and say, it's the interactable element of it. There's so many more experiences and things that you can't do in other media, which is, yeah, that's absolutely true. But that isn't why I'm interested in video games. I think the thing is, when I was younger, when I was really young, I was getting used to using a computer. And it meant that naturally I was playing things like Flash games and video games on a PC DVD, I think it was. So, like, the disc that you put in and then it would whir incredibly loudly where you couldn't hear the actual computer because the DVD drive sitting right beside you, or the CD one is sitting right beside you and whirring away. And it would be like... it started with educational games from a really young age, and I think just naturally from that point, I got more into playing different kinds of games, so it went on to... I started using the internet more, and it was Flash games, and then it was, online games and all these things. And eventually, it was stuff with consoles and handhelds, and then I downloaded Steam to play Team Fortress 2, and it was sort of a gradual thing. There was no sudden moment where it was like, oh my god, I love video games. It's just something that I've been appreciating more over time, I guess.
Are there any particular titles that you'd say that have really piqued your interest? Like, I can name a few. I know a few, but I want to see which ones you'll say right here, right now.
Okay, there's a couple of camps for video games that I find like interesting or engaging for some reason. There's ones that I love. So I really like the ones that I like playing, which are like Team Fortress 2. I play lots of Payday 2. I've been playing lots of Risk of Rain 2 lately. A lot of 2s in this. So, one of the other things is games that are like very memorable experiences. Ones that sort of stick with you. They're not necessarily ones that I play a lot, but ones that sort of stand out in my head. So, I've been thinking a lot recently about, because I haven't played it in a long time, Journey on the PlayStation 3, I think, was the original release.
Yeah, it was free. It was on free, and then it came to 4. And now it's on PC, finally.
Epic Game Store, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I have it. I bought it. It's not installed yet. Going to play it eventually.
Have you not played it?
No. But I own it. Have not played it yet.
It's a great game. It is what you would call a walking simulator. But I would say it's easily my favorite one. It actually had me engaged and interested through the whole thing. But anyway, there are these games that are very memorable experiences. There's ones that are in between those two camps. There's also games which I end up wanting to discuss a lot, regardless of how much I enjoy them. And definitely in the video making front, this is the one that tends to come to the surface. So, Mirror's Edge Catalyst is a classic example of a game that I don't dislike it. I don't like it much either, but I end up talking about it significantly more than other games, because in many ways it's not just about the things that you like in a game. It's about sort of the potential of what so-and-so game could be. And that's the thing I like thinking about a lot. It's why you'll see in certain videos, like, say I'm talking about Payday 2, I try and not just talk about what is there with the game, but also the background and speculation as to maybe this is what the developers were thinking, maybe this is the compromise they had to make, and things like that. Because I think it's interesting for a medium where there are so many working parts. There's people working on the game design, there's people working on the visuals, the story, and all this has to come together to make a product that releases on a certain day, probably under very stressful conditions. I think it's really interesting to not just look at what's there, but also sort of this wider area surrounding games. All the other things that you can think about and look at as an extension of it. And I think that plays a huge part in my interest in it as well.
Well, that leads me to ask you this question then.
Okay.
Game Revo, have you ever considered becoming a video game developer yourself?
I was trying to take a drink there. Yeah, when I was really young. But partially because of the work that I've done on videos, some of which, involves industry research, but also from following sort of game news stuff prior to that, I kind of realized quite quickly, this is a brutal industry. Oh
yes indeed.
And I noped out of there before I went down that road. I love video games. I have so much respect for people who work on them. But in the same way that I have respect for a teacher, I would never be able to do their job. It's just not something I could do.
Fair enough. That's a very interesting example you picked there. Yes. Those who cannot teach and whatnot.
Yeah. I think it's of a similar thing. You have to have you have to be particularly hardy to make it in video games. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Oh, especially with all those horrific industry reports we get from time to time about crunch and worker abuse. Yeah, those poor lads and lasses.
Like, sometimes I sit around and think, hey, we haven't had a report about how bad a game studio is in a while. You know?
And then the next thing you know, an exclusive Jason Schreier report.
Yep, usually.
Oh, man. But moving away from that unfortunate, tragic nonsense, unfortunately. Such a shame. But, I'm curious. Like, what would you say, from the development angle of video games, are you fascinated by the most? Is it the themes? Is it the development and writing of the story? Is it the brainstorming of mechanics and how to implement them into the game? What piece of the video game development puzzle do you find the most fascinating, or is it just the whole smorgasbord?
Good word. So I never use that, and I will start using it. This might be seen as a lazy answer, and it kind of is. But what you just said about it being a bit of everything is very much my approach to making videos, and it's very much my approach to what I find interesting. I might play a game and become fascinated with the storytelling, and play another one and just want to skip all the dialogue. And it's not even necessarily because of the quality of the writing. It's because games have so many composite parts that it might be each time I play a new one, there's a different thing I take an interest in. It might be some wider things that were investigated for the theming of a game that lead me down that same path to discover stuff about maybe history or geography, or it might be purely mechanical in a game design sense. But when you're, say, reading a book, I enjoy reading, but I don't study it or discuss it in the same way I do video games, because there's more of a limited range. There's a lot you can do with writing in a story. But it is limited to the writing. You have character and story and themes and development and that. But in games, you have the potential to have those, and then also have something completely unrelated, which is like how this piece of fruit was designed in the game. Because it's so unrelated, there's so many wider influences that come into video games that mean the exciting bit to me is working out what to look at next. I'm not stuck in the same thing, always talking about how this one mechanic works in every single game and just moving between the games, because there's so many things you can talk about.
Oh yes, it's endless, absolutely endless. I know this seems unrelated, but it's also still related. Tell me, are you in the same boat as many on the internet declare that gaming is dead? There's no longer any good games that come out anymore. What do you think? What do you think of the state of quality games that released over the past couple of years?
Okay. So to start with, I think that games, the industry is bigger now. It means that there's a wider variety of things. It means that we're going to have a lot more games which are and we saw this with the mobile industry. When mobile games picked up, we saw a lot of what would be considered low quality, maybe asset swap, cash grab kind of games that use Skinner boxes and things like that to keep people playing. And as a result, that section of the industry opened up, and that naturally moved into other gaming fields like console and PC gaming. I don't think the existence of those is necessarily bad because it's not the only thing that exists. What I mean is there's not only AAA games that have all these microtransactions and season passes and all these things you have to buy and everything's cherry-picked and picked apart and all that. There's certainly ones that exist now of that where there wasn't before, but considering that there's so many more choices because of this growing industry of games, I do not feel like we are being neglected those opportunities to play games that do not have those things. There's more options now, and in a sort of internet social media dominated age where negativity bias plays very hard into it, people remember negative experiences more easily than positive ones. When you play one of the games, because more of them exist now, where something leaves you feeling quite scorned, so maybe it's the way that this low quality game stole assets from another one, which isn't good, mind you. And it's the same with games where parts of it are sold off at piecemeal as microtransactions. I'm not saying that those are good things, but I'm saying that those do not represent things as a whole, but because you might have had a poor experience with them now, that the challenge is not letting that cloud your perception of everything else. Because there's so much. It's annoying having to find the games that fit your interests and not try and, say, take money out of your pocket as you actively play them. But those games still exist. And I think it's important to be positive about the ones that are good, while also criticizing the ones that are bad.
Fair. Very fair.
So the short of it is that I think the gaming industry is great. I think that it's grown, and it's as good as it was, but bigger. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
I agree. So tell me, are there any particular games over the past couple of years, recent games that you've really enjoyed?
Last couple of years. Okay. Off the top of my head, I think Titanfall 2 did a very good approach to not just how AAA games can exist with a microtransaction format, because that game had cosmetic microtransactions, but also it was a weird sort of response, in a sense, to the many shooters of the previous generation, which were primarily single-player games with sort of multiplayer stuff attached in the end, because Call of Duty had single and multiplayer and did very well. We're now seeing the opposite, where multiplayer games have single-player attached, but Titanfall 2 managed to get that perfect mix between the two. I really enjoyed Fury. It's a good example of a really interesting way of taking what's popular at the moment, which is Dark Souls style games, and taking some of the details that people like about it without necessarily lifting the mechanics and making a new game out of it. And it's also another good example of an indie game. There's many others I could go on for ages. I'm gonna stop.
Please, no, keep going.
keep going. Okay. So there's games that I played recently that didn't release recently. So I just finished Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and I thought it was alright. But I actually really enjoyed Unity, which I played back when it was free last year, I want to say. Was it last year? When the Notre Dame
because with the Notre Dame fire, yeah.
Yeah. That game's actually really good. It's not perfect. Like most Assassin's Creed games, it's got serious problems, particularly with the story being kind of dull for most of it. But if you're wanting,
are we talking about objectively dull or dull to you?
Dull to me.
Okay.
Someone else can play it and think it's not dull. Someone else can play it and think it's not dull. But that's what I'm saying. But despite that, it is sort of the extension of the original Assassin's Creed style, where it's the first couple of games before 3 and Black Flag, where it started to expand beyond the city and include other tasks like ships and all these things. Unity is the natural progression of those previous games. It has technical problems. It's not a perfect game, but it's one of those ones that, despite how well it sold, despite how much marketing there was, and despite how much buzz there was around it, it feels oddly overlooked. What else have I played recently? I mean, I just started playing Animal Crossing, but I haven't played nearly enough of it to comment on it. I'm enjoying it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. You know what else was awesome? That game you and I played together several times for several hours.
Nope, don't remember.
That I got you into, that you had no idea existed until, like, launch day.
Yep. Space Lords.
God damn it! Okay, that was a game I got you into as well, but there was another game. There we go. Finally, Jesus fucking Christ! Really had to prod you there. I was waiting, okay, he's gonna say Remnant. Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. So Remnant, yes, that was an incredible surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not often, particularly now, where most of the games I play tend to be ones that I've heard something about from, like, news or a video or something like that. It was nice being able to jump into a game that I'd seen very little of and just had a word-of-mouth recommendation, and enjoyed it quite a bit. And I feel like that sort of helped with it, because I hadn't seen it being played elsewhere. I hadn't seen people talking about what they think of it. It was very much thinking about it just for myself. And it made it quite memorable, in a way.
Aye.
So thank you for the recommendation. That was really fun when we played it.
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
A while ago
yeah.
now.
We played it day one, didn't we? Day one it released.
Yeah, we did.
That was crazy. We replayed that game so much. Oh,
I don't know how many hours I have into it now, but however much it is, it was absolutely worth it, I think's the point.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. What do you think it was about that game that got you personally so invested? Was it the weapons? Was it the armor, character builds? Was it the environments? Well, like, what was it that you think that gripped you about Remnant?
I really liked its approach to co-op, and its approach to co-op isn't necessarily a new one, but it had the right balance to make it not just a game that's fun solo, but a game where you really get the maximum enjoyment out of it playing it with a friend. It wasn't a game where it's not great, but then you add people, and, you know, because you're having a good time with other people, you know, it automatically makes it better. It was very much designed with the idea that you were going to progress through the campaign with somebody, but also you don't necessarily have to go start to finish with, because the way that progression is designed, it balances enemies based on a mix between your levels. You have different things you can do with the skills and weapons, and the idea that weapons are sort of permanent carryovers and you're not constantly replacing them like in something like Borderlands, which means you could technically jump halfway, you could play half of the campaign, talk to a friend who hasn't finished the game yet, maybe they played it with someone else and then the other friend lost interest. And you go, oh yeah, let's finish it together, and be able to jump straight in and finish the game. It's a very convenient co-op game to play.
Oh, that's it's so much fun. So much fun to play.
There's many other things I love about it. I mean, the actual gameplay and the sort of background and the visuals and the lore and all that's kind of cool. But that's the number one thing for me.
Very peculiar pick. Very peculiar pick. So it makes me want to ask you, Revo, do you prefer single player or multiplayer?
God, I mean, it depends. It depends on what how I'm feeling, to be honest with you. And that changes. Sometimes I'll be playing only multiplayer games for weeks, and then I'll just binge through a couple of solo campaign type games in a row. It's kind of a mix. It's a bit of both.
Aye, but which would you say you've had the more enjoyable, memorable experiences? Would it be from single-player campaigns or multiplayer co-op experiences with friends? Like, what memories are the ones that stick out to you the most in your mind?
When I think about a multiplayer game, so we were talking about Remnant. I remember general experiences with it. I remember playing in certain areas. I remember enjoying certain elements of discovery about it. I remember learning about the ins and outs of how the game functions. And I remember it being oddly laid back despite the difficulty. Those are not specific things. When I play a single-player game, sure, sometimes I get some of those general ones, but there's also interesting set pieces in a game. There's plot twists. There's a bit more of an direct involvement with the story because you're not discussing with someone else at the same time. And what it means is, of the games that I play, because I know that some multiplayer games do that very well, of the multiplayer games I play, I would say they do better in giving me a general experience where I can sort of summarize a few hundred hours of playing the game in my head, but I can't withdraw specific experiences as easily as single-player games where I go, oh, remember that moment from, like, Titanfall 2 where so-and-so happened. That was excellent. So it's a different kind of way it's memorable.
Ah, that's fair. That's fair.
If we were looking at purely playtime, I think multiplayer games, I've spent more time. If you want an actual answer.
Why is that? Do you can consider yourself a competitive gamer?
No. No. Most of the games I play, I might be decent at them. Like, I always like movement systems, but I'll play Titanfall 2, and I will, be running around the map and then get sniped by some expert player across the map, or I will end up in a one-on-one firefight and panic and not be able to land any of my shots and get killed. Because I play, in a sense, quite casually. Multiplayer tends to be more about the social experience with playing with other people and just being able to chat while playing some game.
Fair. I'm curious. I'm very curious. So, tell me, what do you think of the current day and age of live service video games? Do you think they are a benefit or a hindrance in modern gaming?
So once again, to cheat on my answer, I'm going to refer back to my last previous answer from earlier, where I was talking about the idea of the industry getting bigger. Live service games, in many ways, have become a product of the industry getting larger and digital distribution creating more opportunities for certain games to exist that didn't before. These haven't necessarily replaced the games that existed before. I think if you're looking for something that was considered AAA before live service existed, you can find a lot of that in AA now just because of how much development budgets have inflated since then. But to actually answer your question, I think the worst to come out of live service games is when you're trying to play a certain style of game at a certain budget. So say you want to play a Call of Duty style game or something, and you're almost guaranteed that it will have a season pass, which means you're encouraged to play in these certain weeks, otherwise you lose out, and there's all this FOMO, fear of missing out, which they use to their advantage. And some games have gameplay affecting microtransactions, and it always feels like the game's trying to get stuff out of your pocket. That is undeniably a poor trade-off, but that being said, I think live service has introduced so many other games where you can get positive experiences out of them. So, I played Payday 2 for years, not just because that game was great, but because there was a mix of free and paid content that was released over time for that game. It meant not only could I justify playing it myself, but I could also justify to other people why they should get back into it. Live service is not a good, bad, black, white type thing. It depends on what you're taking out of it. And I think in general, we're better for it.
But Revo, Fallout 76, and Anthem exist.
Yeah, exactly. That's the ones you should avoid. Don't pre-order games, then you won't get burned by this.
Unless it's Doom Eternal.
Buy Doom Eternal, sure. Pre-order Doom Eternal?
But you got the Dude Revenant skin, Okay, so... If you pre-order...
I'm not gonna, in a general sense, tell people not to pre-order games. Because nobody is going to be perfect in that regard. I have pre-ordered games before, despite saying that. So, I think the thing to remember is that when you pre-order, you are taking a risk. And if that risk backfires on you, you have to acknowledge that, sure, the game was not an acceptable state. The company should be held accountable for it. But also, that's the situation you could have avoided. You could have avoided being disappointed by it if you'd waited a day or two after release.
Also, just do your research beforehand. Like, like every single video game I've ever pre-ordered, I've never been disappointed with because I extensively researched them. I made sure I knew what I was spending my money on. Like, I pre-ordered Battleborn and Evolve, and despite what everyone's, despite the majority of the online community not being fond of those games, I enjoyed every single second of them because I did my research, I knew what I was getting into, even if other people didn't like it, I knew I would.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of a game that I pre-ordered and I was disappointed in, but I can't really think of any because I end up not buying a ton of games when they just release anyway, just because it costs more money. I don't have that kind of money to throw around anyway. I usually wait a couple of weeks, couple of months after it releases. But when I do, I tend to know enough about the game now to see any red flags. So Mirror's Edge Catalyst was one of the games I was most excited for, and still is. I was really hyped for that game. But I did not buy it when it came out, because as time passed, and especially leading up to the actual release date in the last few months, I was looking at it and going, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't look like the game I was hoping for. So I held off on it and bought it for £5 a few months later. So that game did not hold its
that's
value.
A discount. That's a hell of a discount.
Yeah. People did not buy that game, I guess.
I'm glad you brought up Mirror's Edge Catalyst because I'm sorry I fucked up. I'm glad you brought up Mirror's Edge Catalyst because you have a fascinating relationship with that game.
There is a video. Okay, I shouldn't talk about videos that might get axed, but I'm gonna anyway. There's a video that was written about 2-3 months ago on Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I just wanted to finally be able to just cover all the things I wanted to talk about, so I don't have to talk about it anymore, though knowing me, very likely would still talk about it. That video has not come to fruition, just because not only... I have a lot of frustrations with the game, but I also have a lot of frustrations with talking about the game, because a lot of its issues tie back to my own personal disappointment in it. And when you start dissecting sort of why you feel a certain way about a game, it becomes a lot harder to release something that you feel happy about because you go, oh, I forgot to talk about this, or oh, this doesn't represent it in the right light, or this doesn't represent how I feel about it in the right light. So that script got redrafted like 4 or 5 times, and I recorded it and went, this ain't it, Chief. So it's currently sitting half finished. But I think that, more than any video I could make, represents my feelings on that game.
So, very love-hate, very conflicted, very complicated.
Yeah, but I love games that give you a very complicated feeling to them. It's not purely, I love this entirely, or I hate this entirely. It's that weird middle ground where it sends you on a sort of roller coaster of emotions, that really...
Yes, I have games like that, yeah. Rage 2. I'm like that with Rage 2. Love the gameplay, love the visuals, but like the story, the open world design, it's like, ugh, no, why did you make these decisions? Why'd you do this? This could have been so much better. Oh, but the gameplay is so good.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, I only feel conflicted about Mirror's Edge Catalyst slightly more than Mirror's Edge, the first one. But I love the first one. The thing is that despite how much I enjoy each of them, because I have similarly conflicted feelings, it makes me want to talk about it more. To sort of analyze, well, why is that the case? I think that's fascinating. I think that's really interesting, because it's not just going, this is great, oh, but, you know, the menus aren't great and the visuals are a little lacking. It's stuff that fundamentally affects how you feel about it. And that's
True.
weird. That's weird stuff.
It is weird. It's weird, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's fun. It's fun. And we're all here to have fun, are we not?
Yeah. Video games are, for the most part, meant to be fun.
For the most part.
Some games are meant to be more sort of like about messaging or whatever. So it's not a catch-all. But yeah, generally fun.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, there's Death Stranding and whatnot.
Yeah, well, there's an example, yeah. There's definitely merit to Death Stranding. I haven't played it. There's definitely merit to it, but it's also very clearly a very polarizing game.
Oh, yes, you should talk to Wizfish about it. Have you seen his video, his reviews?
See, I didn't see the one on Death Stranding because I was undecided if I was going to play it or not, because I know it released on Epic Games Store, but I have no idea if it will ever come to
Not
Steam
yet.
or not.
Not yet. Oh, yeah, it's coming to Steam. It is coming to Steam. Yes.
I was considering playing it, and I thought that might be one that I'm better going into without having the whole
completely
thing
blind?
Not completely blind. I did see some stuff when it released, but sort of skimmed over it to see what people were feeling about it. And what I saw was very interesting. There was no consensus.
Oh, all right. Okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because we're getting to the tail end of this little interview here, this little thingamabob, this little fun little chat of ours.
Sure.
I want to know, Revo, so tell me, like, do you regret meeting me? Do you regret my influence on your channel and videos?
The longer I wait, the worse the response is. Okay,
you can just say yes. I won't be offended.
I think it's been great. I think I value our. I don't like getting all cheesy.
Oh, too bad.
I
too
value
bad.
our friendship. Oh, it's so nice. But I do. It's been great, and it's interesting because we share this thing in common of wanting to make videos on games, but A, the way we go about it is so different, and B, the reasons for us going about it are so different. It's refreshing to be able to talk to and get along with somebody who has, a very different outlook on it to me.
Thank you.
It aids my appreciation of, games that I'm playing, but it also aids the way that I'm working on videos as well.
Ooh.
So what I'm trying to say in a less formal, cold way is, it has positively impacted me, and it's positively impacted my channel. I think it's been great.
That's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me.
Now, never ask me to be nice to you again.
Okay.
I can't deal with how cheesy it is.
Okay, Uncle Scrooge. I see how it is. Alright, but now I gotta ask you, what's one of my favorite videos? What's the favorite video of mine that you've watched?
So, maybe I'm preaching to the choir, but I do think Love, Death, Robots in video games is a really good video.
Thank you. God, that was such an ordeal. You were with me through that whole thing, through the whole process of making that.
If anyone's listening now who has not seen it, go watch it. You say I was there for the whole process, but I really wasn't. I was there for, working on a thumbnail, and you told me the concept. And then I would pester you saying, is it done yet? And you'd be like, no, but it's coming along. It was actually a pleasant surprise when it released, because I actually didn't know what direction you were going with it. And I think it's a great video.
Aw, thank you, dude. Now let me turn this on to you. What's one of your favorite videos that you've made?
Oh. Favorite end product or favorite one to make?
Both. Name both.
My favorite... My favorite end product video is Hi-Rez's reputation for, quote, abandoning games, which started life as sort of me just wanting to look at Tribes Ascend and became so much more because of my experiences looking into Global Agenda. That was a game that had effectively been erased from the map. You can't download it, you can't play it online anymore now. But there was still people who were dedicated to it and really interested in it. Now, just by doing some external research on it, I had gotten an idea of how the game was and what it was like to play, and made the video that included Tribes Ascend and Global Agenda. What I was surprised by is how much people loved the Global Agenda part, and I had people coming to me saying, you know, you nailed this. It was great, you know, hearing stuff about this game that I love again and all that. And it gave me a lot of, like, a little look into a community that I knew nothing about. And that was a really, like, eye-opening experience. It was strange. It reminded me of why sometimes putting things out there, putting stuff online, can lead to things that you don't expect. I also just think it's a good video. So, my favorite one to make is harder. In recent memory, I can say this is less of a profound answer. The playing the, what did I call it? Oh no, playing the original Payday 2 or whatever it was called, the 2013 version of it.
Yes.
Which started life as a
the one with the typo!
Video.
With the typo, there's a typo in the video, remember?
I had
you
to
worked
fix
so hard
that.
on the video.
I eventually had to
typo.
fix that, because I was going to keep it, and I thought, I can't search for this. I'm searching for this, and it's not coming up.
Oh, because of the typo!
Yeah, because of the typo. So I had to go and fix it. But I wanted to keep it, because it was funny. I spent so long in that video, and then there was a typo in the title. It was hilarious. But that one was really fun, because I was trying to make another video, and it just wasn't doing it for me. And I happened to find that you could play the original version of that game. And I was speaking to a friend, I was like, hey, do you want to do this? And there was no pretense of it being for a video, we just wanted to do it. And it was when we started playing it, I thought, this would make a great video. And that meant that the whole process was just really enjoyable, because it started from that area of interest outside of video work, I guess. Also, there's 2 videos that I'd recommend you watch if you're interested in looking at my stuff. Self-plug. There we go. Get the views, get the money. The YouTube cash, all 5 pennies.
Oh, we'll get into the proper links and plugging in just a moment, but I have one more question for you, Mr. Revo. One more very important, eternal question. Will you be picking up, buying, and playing and making a video on Doom Eternal?
Not right now. That's all you're getting from me.
And by not right now, you mean not until next week, correct?
I mean not right now. You'll have to speak to my lawyer. Okay.
Oh, okay. So I have to brutally murder your lawyer. I see.
Anything I say now will be used against me, so I'm not saying. I do want to play it.
Damn it.
I'll say that much. I do want to play it.
Right now?
I don't know when.
Right now? You want to play it right now?
I'm not commenting. Sorry, you're not gonna get me that easy.
Oh, we'll see about that. Anyways, Mr. Game Revo, thank you so much, my good friend, my buddy, my pal, my fellow content creator. If people want to go check you out, follow you, support you, where do they go? What are the links? Okay,
I don't have a ton of like social media footprint, so just go straight to the YouTube channel. It's Game Revo. The URL's weird, so I can't even give you that. It will be in the description, right?
Yeah, in the description and in the comment section.
And yeah, subscribe. But I mean, before you subscribe, even go and take a look. I've got a weird sort of mix of stuff. You've got maybe an idea of some of it from here, and find some stuff that interests you. And if you do like it, then consider subscribing, because it's nice to see the number go up, but it's also nice to know that the people who are subscribing are doing it because they're really interested.
What about the Patreon? You're not even going to mention the Patreon, where people can give you money.
That isn't running at the moment.
What?
Yeah, I'm making it right now. It's purely a hobby thing. I'm not making any money from this.
Wait, so you got rid of the Patreon?
It's not gone, it's suspended.
Why is it?
I ain't about that money. Peace and love, man.
God,
I'm gonna go to the parks, get the signs, start spray painting my signs with peace signs.
Wait, what's your cause?
The money bad.
Oh my lord. Okay, I see how it is. Okay, I'll just have to donate money to you on PayPal or something like that. We'll get you money one way or another.
you realize if you were trying to dodge taxes, you probably shouldn't affirm it in a YouTube video.
What are you talking
that you're
about?
Be sending your money to the offshore account, yeah?
What? No, I'm sending you money through PayPal. What? What are you talking about?
Okay.
What? I'm so confused. When did this turn to illegal? When did this become illegal?
When did this turn into illegal?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna leave that in. To hell with it. Links to Game Revo, his YouTube channel, maybe not his Patreon, we will see, in the description and in the comments section. Thank you, all of you, so much for watching. Any closing statements?
No. None.